Yo, good morning, good morning. It's a pretty solid bounce off our 30-second opening range here on NQ. Like an immediate bounce in response off of that open. ES bounced off of this liquidity pocket on footprint here, our value low for our upside candle from the open. Now pushing into the sell side POC above us. That sits at 97. See what happens. I would assume that we'll flag here on a higher low now that we've recovered POC, and then look to try to push above, but maybe it's not ready yet. I'm unsure. We'll see. But with how aggressively bounced off of that liquidity below, I'm not too worried about this area yet. We'll see. Iran refuses to end nuclear enrichment in talks with U.S. Wall Street Journal. That was the latest news that just popped. So we're back to that. Just bouncing our 30-second opening range again. Again, like this liquidity below on ES is pretty thick, and our NQ is bouncing off of previous day value high as well as our 30-second opening range. I am going to continue to think that we find a bid here into these lows until proven otherwise. We need to flip below this and then show interest below for me to think that we have downside. Once we get back into this, though, then we'll have a really nice range from yesterday to play. So if we push below, then we'll head down to POC to value low from our previous day, right? But until then, I'm just going to continue to watch to see if we find a bid here as we push down. Bid being found so far off of our previous off of our 30-second opening range. Watching our offer here at 800 at POC of previous candle. If we can get over 30s, we should be able to break downtrend, I think. We'll see. Again, just bouncing off our 30-second opening range. I think a buyer is found here on ES and NQ until proven otherwise. So pretty solid rotation. Again, I'd say first risk off here is into 30. If you're playing off of the 30-second opening range low. Just as we push into this view up in PVZ as well, just this area here is for sure where we're gonna look to see if sell side sits. I am taking off 1 here. See if we can find a higher bid here at 800, our previous day value high at 80 to 800. Bid was very solid at our reversion zone, as well as our previous day value high at this 80 to 800. Rotating back up to our highs here into ETH high. See if we can get any more, but pretty nice bounce. 40 points, almost 50 points here. We gotta flip view up for anything more. They're attempting now. We shall see. Oh, excuse me. I think we're probably headed to 920. Would be my guess. 920 to 940. We just had $2,000 a contract here from our bounce at our 30-second opening range. ES into PVZ value high. NQ into our daily value high. PVZ value high sitting at 940. This is 900 here. Nice. Good job, man. $920 to $940 might be a problem. I might close into that. Yeah.
Video extends gains to session high, 5.9%.
Let's see what they do from here. Held PVZ value high so far. Offer is now at our 890 on NQ and our 856 on. Sorry, our 856 on NQ and 890 on ES. Just watching our reoffer here now that we flip back below PVZ POC, our yellow or orange line, whatever you want to call that. What's up, club? Just with this sweeper candle, we're watching to see if the offer holds the imbalance that was created on it. I'm unsure. Russell just did a full oscillation from our PVC value low back up to PVC value high. So I'm thinking that this is just kind of oscillating and that NQ and ES are going to be basing their rotations off of this Russell rotation. I don't know. We'll find out in a second. just coming back up to our highs where I sold right before this this push down. Just retesting again. We just know that this is our offer as we come into it because in footprint, this is our sell side candle from the highs before. So it's just looking at the, you can see here, like this is where that big seller dropped us off of our reoffer. Right, so like we found a bid that was very aggressive, and then we flipped it, and then this was the offer that held here. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on this area now because as we come back into it, that offer is still sitting here. We can see that that previous 15 is still holding that POC to value high here as resistance. So still, this is still very clearly our pivot. I just like drag our lines over, right? Just as like a visual aid for you. Value low of that previous candle. But again, just bouncing off our 30-second opening range and rotating up into this offer, just like we talked about, which was why we took that trade. Now just watching to see if we can flip this, or if this is just going to range here. Russell still ranging, chopping between our PVC value low and value high. There's just so much sell-side liquidity above us. Can we still keep going up? Yeah, the potential is pretty high, especially with us bouncing our 30-second opening range, but I'll just look to re-engage once we flip this. No reason for me not to. Oh, freezing. On footprint, if you're looking at Tradeify, this is what I was watching to be like, oh, there's probably a seller sitting here as we were coming up into it. Like why I thought that area would probably be a bit heavy. So just as we were coming up back into these big blocks of deltas here, and this 920 that sits here, just like this big massive tail here that we're gonna have to push through. So like yes, it is still bullish in nature with us holding these lows and holding our 30-second opening range as well as our reversion zone as well as previous day value high, and so that's why I think that eventually we can go up, but I just expect that this area is just like a massive amount of supply that we're gonna have to eat through, which is what we're doing right now, right? Just eating through this, trying to build here at a higher low. But it makes for a good risk off as we were pushing into it until we can flip above. Tempting now. See if we can get over this 40 or if 40 holds. When you mean the tail, you're saying a lot of volume up there. Yeah, well, a tail is just like on the profile itself, right? So, um, uh, I'll try to show you. So this is our volume profile in the day. So these areas outside of value are considered our tail, right? So we have a distribution, and this is the main block, right? This is inside value. And then these ends are our tail, right? Where our distribution tapers off. Does that make sense? So as we push into those areas outside of value, this is our buying tail, this is our selling tail on our distribution. Yeah.
Nvidia shares extend gains, last up 6.4%.
Yeah. Did you have a stop at that first entry, or were you just using the whole 30-second opening range as your risk? I just was seeing a bid step in there, and I didn't see any sort of aggressive sell. I didn't have a stop set yet. I just was buying with that buyer that I saw down there. I didn't have a stop. I just had my mouse on the exit market if something had gone awry. But yeah, if we had invalidated or like shown any sort of like aggressive sell where like that buyer stepped out of the way, maybe I you know, like I of course I would have stopped out, but like no, it wasn't. It was more of like just expecting market to find a low there. Once we saw that buyer step in over and over again. It's not just about like the 30-second opening range being there, which I mean is definitely helpful, but buyer on Dom as well as like this liquidity on ES into these lows, very aggressive bid off of that, as well as a very aggressive bid off of NQ from that flip, and then just seeing like a pretty active participant down below. So it's just like I'm just buying with them until proven otherwise, with everything bouncing and showing interest. But yeah, my stop would have been below 720, I think. I don't know. I mean, it's not that big of a risk playing off of 780, and then just looking for that bounce in there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't just stop for the sake of a stop, right? Like it's like a structural hold. I entered almost the exact same spot and got stepped. It was like 40 points. Unlucky. Um, yeah, I mean, that's... Sorry, man. I promise there will be other trades. That was my just hop on, see structure, immediately say something so that if you guys were, before I actually set up levels, that you could be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Get in or don't, kind of thing. First trade of the day, just log in, watch and see structure, tell you what I see. Now that we have some structure actually set on chart, we'll have another trade. It's just a range. How many micros are you trading? 2 to 5? Man, I would have just let that 30-second opening range play. Yeah. No. And then follow your risk, man. Just into our 920, 940. No change. The offer sits here. Gotta flip it. Yes, leading up with Russell. Bitcoin had a really nice reversal.
US State Department says identifying 14 shadow fleet vessels as property of entities involved in the transportation of Iranian petroleum and other products.
I mean, it might be worth buying BTC. This is a solid reversal.
US State Department says sanctioning 15 entities that have traded in Iranian origin crude oil and petroleum products or petrochemical products, and 2 individuals.
What Bitcoin contract is the futures one that's current? H? G? Should be H, right? H6? Why is this thing so illiquid? Holy. There's more liquidity on the G contract than the H contract on Tradeify. Like on Dom, at least. But they're both awful. This reversal is interesting. I don't know. We'll see. This is what it looks like on the futures contract. Sure. Could be. I think it'll probably be an island reversal, though, but we'll see. Wait, what? That was weird. How did that happen? Offer sitting at 60 here. Bid holding our 920 to 940 now as supportive off of the flip. We are now outside of value in our sell side tail, trying to build over our value high. ES into our next little area of supply here in our reversion zone. See if we can flag it out up here. That'd be interesting for expansion. into a POC of previous candle on both ES and NQ off of our supply on NQ. Again, just watching to see if we find a bid here. POC attempting to shift on NQ up into these highs at 900 to 920. I'm gonna let this build out for a little bit. But with this POC trying to shift up here at the daily, could be interesting. We'll know soon enough. Not enough info for me to play either direction yet. The only thing that I'm watching for is offer at 900 on retest, or flip back over 20s for bid with the POC shifting here. There's not enough information for me on anything else as of yet. Just a reversion back down to our POC shift, but now watching for a offer, reoffer. Should expect a bit of a bid, and then let's look for a retest of 900 and see what happens into this sell side liquidity here. I'm not too worried about this. This move is a little abnormal. Just kind of came out of nowhere. Just watching now, see if we find that sell for our secondary leg. I wanted a bit higher than that. Come on now. I'm not in those. I wanted a much better retest than this. I still hope that we get it. This feels... I don't know. Kind of forced, I guess. It feels like the bid just kind of stepped out of the way more so than the sellers are doing anything of value. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens now. And then they can fully rotate this down on me, and I guess that'd be fine. But I won't participate until I see something that I actually care about personally. So the only difference is that you can request an extra $1,000. That's it. No, definitely not. Listen, I already told you before, like, their job is to make it as hard as possible with the data that they have to get you a payout, right? Like, that's their job. They have so much data of people failing accounts, and they can find that Goldilocks zone, which creates the hardest rule set, as you know, that will make the most people fail. And it's your job to play within their parameters. So if you are adding rules to your account and making it harder for you to get a payout, and it's almost never worth it. I'd rather take less money in payouts if my rules were easier, right? Because remember, you're playing on a prop firm. You're playing the rules of the prop firm as that's the game, right? Compared to the market, it's a very different game, very different beast than just like trading a live account. So if you're adding more rules, you're making your life more difficult. Consistency rules are very rough. But, you know, it is what it is. They can be great if you are willing to play within that structure and you have patience and you don't need money instantly. They can be a great learning tool, but if you're looking for, you know, like instant payouts or quick money because you got to pay rent, like, it can be really rough and it can be emotionally draining on you trying to play within that structure and also YOLOing. I'm just waiting for 900, boys. Again, like, I think this price action is a little fake right now, but we're pushing into this offer now. So let's see what happens as we push into 880 to 920 here. This is where that sell side should be sitting if we're going to be holding it. I'm really not interested in anything else. So let's see what happens here. So we pop back in. I think Tradeify's consistency rules are okay. I think MyFunded futures is also, I think those are probably the better devils, you know? I think, there's one more platform that isn't terrible with their rules. Yeah, Tradeday is pretty good. I don't know. Let's see what they do here into the supply on footprint. This is what we were watching for. What's up, Kevin? This is ES retesting our value high edge from our bounce at VWAP and POC. Just watching to see if an offer sits here on ES as well as NQ into our 900. Your first risk off, if you're playing off of this edge, has to be 60 for the potential higher low, where we'll find a buyer potentially here. Just watching as we push into this. Anything in here is where we're just watching to see if sell side sits, or if we can flip and then bid above and then go up. Unsure. But this is where we would expect that offer to be sitting. Same thing on ES. It's just our retest of our value edge now that we're entering back in. We're watching to see if sell side sits here for rotations down like this. Or if we can flip and then, you know, bid and go on our merry way outside of value. Just retesting this like very dramatic sell that we had to the downside. Offer sitting at 920. Still just waiting. We want to see a look in here, failure, and then look back down. We're just sandwiched between a buyer at 880 and a seller at this 920. Inside candle. This is our POC shift that we're retesting now. RTY leading up, ES flipping, trying to hold our value high now. This price action is really gross. If we can, we'll find an offer at 940, I think, and then we'll look for a retest of 920 to see if this flip holds. If that holds, then maybe continuation up.
Says
I don't
Fed
know.
must watch both sides of the mandate, and the situation feels precarious.
Let's see what they do. This area needs to be way more confident. Like I just am not interested in a sell that has no buyer, and then a bid that has no offer. Like it's just not of interest to me. We're just like fully retracing the downside and upside move with no news. So if we just like push through our daily POC on NQ and ES with no interest and no like auction, and it's just like someone stepping out of the way, like I can't play that because I don't know what's happening. So I will watch the 920 bid and see what we can do here. But if I don't have the ability to see what's going on and understand the market that we're trading, then I have no business being in said market, because I'm not going to be able to create a plan and create structure to play around. So even if the move is going
Fed's
up
daily
and
in
going
a LinkedIn
down,
post says low hiring,
doesn't mean
low
that-
firing environment may persist or may quickly change to a no hiring, more firing labor market.
doesn't mean that I know how to play it. Like, I don't. Like, we just pushed through our value edges and pushed through POC with no sign of interest on either side. So I don't know. I had to wait for something that makes sense.
Fed's daily says businesses are cautiously optimistic and workers are not so sure.
I wait. Extreme volatility plus lack of supportive or resistant levels to play around is just not a market you want to be putting risk in my opinion. But do what you want.
We have posted a link to Fed's Daily's post on LinkedIn on the feed for those interested.
Fed's Daily on LinkedIn. Huge. It's like 800 contracts that were just taken in here at the 80s. Bid falling off again. No momentum. Very weird market. I don't know, guys. Like, there's this 980 is pretty thick. Like maybe if we came back down a bit further, back down to like 920, 940, okay, and then we pop back over 980s. But if we just chop here, I just don't have a ton of faith in this. I don't know. We'll see. Might have to wait for the new 15s and then see if there's anything there. Because I don't like this downwards action or this upwards action, personally. It made sense to try off of 900 to 920. That made sense. That's where that offer was sitting on the way down. It would have been our hold of our POC shift, right, and our halfway back here into our 900 to 920. That made sense for a reoffer if sell side was serious. But when we just like push right through it and then don't care about highs, I just don't think that that's a market that makes sense. Like it just doesn't.
Bitcoin's Friday rebound extends to 10%.
It's not exactly something that you can have a ton of faith in level wise or stop wise. So. Right, like this is that 900. And this is that POC shift. So that made sense. The flip, I guess, is reasonable to play off of if you were looking, but I mean, not really. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of not knowing why we have 140 point downside moves instantaneously with the bid stepping out of the way, and then 175 point upside moves. Is that Patrick Weedland? Is that what that is? One-week trading, fishing, making money, food and lodging included, limited to 10 spots. It's crazy. Whenever I see like those live seminars, I just think of that video with the Indian guy who's like talking about why he should buy the dip, and then it go doing like a like 1,000 point candle in the opposite direction. It's like one of the better videos on the internet. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. I don't even know how I would search for that. New 15s, 30 seconds. Let's see if we find an opportunity, because so far this market is not giving us a lot off this last rotation. and I would like to see something new. That makes sense. Yeah, it was like they calling a short and then it immediately popped to like a billion. Where's the longer? There's a better video of this, but yeah, that's whenever I see like a live class, it's like D15s have opened. Watching POC of previous candle. I don't like any of this, man. I really don't. I'm sorry that we're not playing this, but this feels so sus. Are you kidding me? Uh, I don't know, man. Everything is telling me that we go to 940 here, but I'm not playing it. This is what I see. But I'm again, like, I'm personally just not touching it. But this is the re-offer that I'm watching. But we'll see. I don't know. This market is either like moving in omnidirectional or going nowhere fast. Just keeping an eye on that high with Russell. Same thing on ES. With this Russell move to the downside, it's the same thing, right? I'm just watching for this weakness. This is the reversion trade that's being talked about, right? On all markets, I don't know. Just gotta wait it out. So far, we're just trending, but I don't like the trend. I'm not sure why. We held our 980, which was good, but something just feels off. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, no day so far this week has felt the same as a previous day. Every day has been very unique, but today specifically does not feel good. I mean, like the first trade felt great, but I don't like that upside move and then that downside move with no respect for structure. Not my market. So I'll wait until I see something that makes sense. If we don't respect structure, then there's no trade for me. I don't care what's happening in the market. I'm putting my money on the line, and if I can't figure out or see what is moving the market and where buyers and sellers are actively going to participate, then there's no trade. I don't care what's happening. You can liquidate your account. I'm not liquidating mine. Yeah, no. I mean, you either have rules or you don't. Do you? Klarna-like buy now, pay later may soon be available for Americans renting homes/apartments. Hell yeah. Just what we need. A loan for your apartment rent. You pay more rent, but I would assume in over a longer period. I'm assuming it's for people it doesn't make sense to you. Okay, so think about it like this. If you're working check to check and your checks don't align when your rent is due, you are now buying a loan to be able to pay your rent on time, and you are giving Klarna an interest payment because you weren't unable to pay your rent check to check. Yeah. So the goal is to avoid a late fee on your rent while then they gaining interest on Klarna and using their whatever the fee is, right? So either they make money off of either taking a fee from you or by collecting interest because you failed to make a repayment, and then you're just a debt slave for the rest of your life. Buy now, pay later only works for one-time payments. Nah, those services offer like splits. You can split. Like there's a in the building that I live in, the app that they use, they have a service that they use called Livable, which allows you to split your rent payments, but with a fee. But rent adds each month. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's literally would just be to avoid a late fee because your paycheck doesn't come in at the exact date that rent is due. That would be the use case. Other than that, I don't know what you would be doing. I did see a video though of someone taking out a loan to buy an apartment that they couldn't afford and then using their money to then try to be like an entrepreneur in the meantime. So basically like treating it as a like a gap year. Where they're like investing, I think they called it investing in their future. Where like you're taking out a loan with the idea that you're going to be better off within a year from now, and then uh it's basically like taking out a loan betting on Bitcoin, right? That Bitcoin's going to be at a higher price than when your loan is due, and then paying back with the income that's from that. Just like a really bad situation to put yourself in, but I don't know. The mentality I think with Gen Z now is that they'd rather have instant satisfaction because they're all doomers. So if you believe that there's no point in investing in the future, you're more willing to take unnecessary risks now with your finances because you don't think that there's a point investing in retirement or having a savings account. So you're more likely to gamble your money currently because they're not looking at the risks that could happen to you in the future, right? So like you're more willing to take out loans, you're more willing to nuke your credit because nothing matters. That seems to be the growing mentality with Gen Z and Gen Alpha. It's like I just need to make it right now, which I totally understand, but that does seem to be the case. That's why I never understood the concept of interest. Like most of general public takes out loans to help in tough situations, so why make it harder on them with interest? Because you're desperate, right? So it's there are banks that's how they make money. I mean that's literally why, right? You're more than willing to take it out because you need the money now, and you don't see like how bad the interest is going to be, and they're just like they're playing off of your desperation. It's just it just is what it is. In a perfect world, yeah, no, loans would not have interest, and it would be an IOU, right? Like that'd be great, lowest interest rate possible, and you'd be able to pay it back, and it'd be great. But most people are not trustworthy to pay back loans on time. So they have to have an incentive to make money off of you. But they've gotten to a point where they're just disgusting. Like like student loans, like you're not paying back money. Like by the time that you get out of school and are in a position to actually pay off of that debt at any reasonable rate, like your initial loan has easily doubled, and you've just are basically paying the interest on that loan, and you haven't even like kind of started to pay off of the base loan. Like student loans are like 15 to 35% interest. Like the rate is incredibly punishing. Yeah. The first thing that I did as soon as I had a job that had any sort of money was immediately just pay off my loans in full. I just like can't imagine. I don't know. It's like I've got friends that are still paying off loans and they've been out of school for 15 years. You know what's funny, Tiful, is that your credit would actually go down if you paid back that loan instantly, not up. Banks don't want you to pay off your stuff instantly. They want you to be a debt slave. We've had this conversation before, but it's like in the Matrix, you're literally one of the batteries. Like you are. The banks want you to be a debt slave so that you can supply them with passive income, basically your income. Yeah, you're just a battery to them. Oh yeah. That's what happens in capitalism, man. It is what it is. I mean, we're just flagging, guys. Just like 900 contracts have been traded into 040 on NQ. ES pushing into our 20s now. It's got area of supply above from our previous session up here for our next target potentially into 30, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of this market or this move. It feels very fragile. It's like how many contracts have been absorbed into that high so far? 1,600, 1,500 into this 50. No matter what side or politician, yeah, I mean, it's all because it's corporations. Lord. Mm, I'll probably trade until I don't enjoy it anymore. I'm way too young to retire, and I need to stay busy. I find trading very, I don't know, I really like trading. I could technically retire now, whatever that means. But like, what am I retiring? Like, what is that? I don't even know what that means or what I would do. Right? I have no clue. I have way too many interests for me to want to not be working. I've been thinking a lot about opening a food truck. It's like a passion project that I'd like to do. Also, I'd like to do like a food truck or a ghost kitchen. That's something that I'm very very interested in doing with a couple friends. I'd also love to get back into game design. I also have an art company where I do more like commercial work, which I spend a lot of my time on when I'm not doing this. I don't know. I have a lot of like creative interests that um, would keep me from, quote unquote, a retirement. And I don't have kids, and I don't have a wife, right? So it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do with my time? So probably that. I'm still in the build phase of my life. Game design question mark? Right, it's like I didn't go to school for game design. Like, what? How did you get into trading before you started? I was given. I've told this before, but I was given from a previous company that I worked for. I was given stock, um, and I was given options, and I had to figure out what the hell that was and what to do with it, and then I started trading the market. Like because of that. That's all. And then you like learn about day trading, you learn about the market, you learn about what you can pull out of it, and then it's just like kind of a rabbit hole. For me, things it's more of a like I need to understand how things work, and so it's just like okay, what is this? How does it work? How are people making money off of it? What is everything? I don't know. I'm just a very very curious person, and then it just kind of spiraled from there. I don't know. There's still a lot to learn, of course, but it just became a hobby, and then that hobby grew into something more. That's all. Just like everything else. Starts as a hobby, becomes a passion. Dude, this market is not great. What is this? I don't know. It kind of it didn't. It wasn't like a choice of like being like, how did I start trading? Like it just kind of happened, man. Like the more that I think about it, like it was just like a group of friends that I was trading with, and just like shooting the shit in chat rooms, and then I was like in a bunch of different communities, and then I was like, oh, like there's like people here who share like an interest with me. This is before COVID, and then COVID happened, and then I got a bit more serious with it because I was stuck at home. So instead of just like trading by myself and like doing more so like long-term investing, it was like, oh, I can like hang out with people, shoot the shit. That's when I started to like really take it a bit more seriously and stopped like doing the art side of my business as much. And then that just kind of like spiraled into being like a bigger part of a couple communities by being recognized in them. I never like went out of my way to do anything. It's just like people giving me opportunities or putting me in a position to have a voice. And then it just kind of became a thing. And then when you're in that kind of position, then all of a sudden you're trading a lot more than you were personally. Like even now, like being like here every day is not something that I would be doing if this community didn't exist. Like even today, like I would have left already after I had my first trade of the day and made $3,000. I would have just left. Now I'm just sitting here doing nothing. Can we like move? Like what is this? So there's 1,600 contracts that were taken in above us. That buyer is offsides quite heavily, about 40 to 50. And then we have like 700 contracts down at 980 where that bid was before. And we are currently just sitting between this supply and this demand.
Bitcoin gets above key $70,000 level, last up nearly 11% at $70,003.
And we are doing nothing. But Bitcoin is still going up. I think it's gone up $2,000 since I said I was interested. That's huge. See what happens as we push into those highs there. That gap is going to be rough. We'll see if this is a bear trap or not. That gap is a little worrisome into 71K. The Yeah, this gap on feeds is a bit concerning. But potential for the reversal to hold, right? This is what I was interested in. It's just this. But we still have some room up into that 71. We'll see. Just a straight line up today. Very nice gap up, and then hold of our lows for continuation. Now just right side of V. What does this offer on ES? It's 500 contracts sitting at 24s. Like, what is this market, man? Yeah, it feels terrible. I've had zero interest to trade since we did that weird move. Like, what the fuck was this? This made sense to me. This whole market made sense. This move made zero sense to me. And I've been spooked ever since. That was not rational. Don't like a market that doesn't make sense. Back to our low of range here on NQ. Just watch to see what happens as we push into this 980, 25k area. This is where that buyer was last. On prop eval, $3,000 means nothing, which is I made on my first trade as well. Then I switched to another eval account. What do you mean it means nothing? $3,000 is $3,000, boss. Amen. That's $3,000 that you don't have to fight your way through in a slow grind, right? That's a good day. Even if it's not money that's tangible, right? Like, it's still, you're building up that account. You should feel good about that. There's no reason to FOMO. All right, there's our 980. Let's see what we do here. I don't know. I mean, we took in so much size up into those highs. It's insane. This is our pivot, 980. Let's see if we can get a decision here. New 15s.
Fez Jefferson says job market is stabilizing and inflation should moderate. Jefferson says Fed's strongest commitment to price stability is reducing inflation risks. Jefferson says tariffs likely represent a one-time shift in price level, and it's possible that stronger productivity could temper inflation pressures. Tariffs were a key driver of inflation in 2025. Price pressures should ease in 2026. Jefferson says personal consumption expenditure price index likely up 2.9% in December on year-over-year basis. Jefferson says he supported last year's interest rate cuts and policy roughly in neutral stance. Says while upside remain, he expects inflation pressures to ease and the job market likely in balance with low fire environment. Jefferson says he expects the economy to grow by 2.2% this year, and the job market is soft on reduced demand and immigration issues. Labour market roughly balanced and downside risk remains. Jefferson says current policy stance is well positioned for risks and says he's revised his growth forecast up 2.2% for 2026.
I just gotta stop talking. We're watching to see if this 980 to 25k holds and we can hold a higher low here for rotations back up, or if 980 is going to go offer for a fill of this LVN back down to 940. Right now, I'm more interested in a higher low. Playing off of this is our risk, that low. But if this can't get over 25k and then it reoffers 980, then we'd be looking for a rotation back down into this edge here. Right now I'm just watching this as our bid though, with that low holding. Got to show interest over 25k though.
I've posted the full speech and the live video for Fed's Jefferson on the feed for those interested.
This is 1-to-1 risk off of our 25k hold from our 980 bounce. Leave a runner for continuation. Watch as we push into POC of previous candle here. Same thing on ES into our 920. Okay, well, I'm glad we found a trade there. That was good. Full rotation up. Next target is into 50. It should be free now, 1-to-1. It's been taken, and now you get your full rotation potential. Or the 2 to 1. That makes sense. We good? I don't know, man. I've been really thinking about it. Been really thinking about it. The problem with Ohio is that like winter is really long. So I think a ghost kitchen might be the better move. Yeah, probably. What's a ghost kitchen? It's a commercial kitchen with no storefront. So you'd be relying mostly on like Uber Eats, or like in Cleveland, there are a lot of these things called like I'm sure you guys have them. They're basically it's like a food court in a mall, but specifically just for food, right? Like there's no mall, so it's just like a bunch of restaurants with a central dining area, and it's just kitchens. And so like they're mostly used as what we would call ghost kitchens for delivery pickups, but then there is a central dining area, and like everyone in your family could choose a different restaurant and get something, and then they'd eat in a central area. We have them. We have a lot of them here. Yeah, like a food hall. Yeah. And I think that's a good way to. It's an incubator for full businesses, right? So you can test out ideas, test out flavor profiles, see how they perform in a market. This is our 2 to 1 full PT here, boys, into our absorption at 50. Remember, there was 1,500 contracts that were absorbed here into 50 to 70. So if we can flip this, awesome. But if not, understand that this is your full risk off based off of our trade. Offer still sitting here at 50. Yeah, so something like that would be good, and then you could like test out a menu, right? So you could change things, and then like see what works, and then build out like a little bit of a base, and then you can go to a more of a brick and mortar location afterwards if you find something that works really well. I don't know. I food is like a huge passion for me. I'd love to do that. I know it's hard work, but again, like I'm very young, and it's something that I care about pretty deeply. I don't know. I have zero interest in retiring. It's definitely something that I'm really considering. What's up, Flex? I don't know. We've got a new one just opened here that looks so cool, Roy. Check this place out. This is the new food hall that just opened. Centro Villa 25. It's like just a bunch of like Venezuelan and Guatemalan like little restaurants. Oh, I guess this doesn't really do a great job of showing the food. I don't know, but I've been really thinking about doing that. Or even like opening a community like that would be really sick. Like giving other people an opportunity on like a lower rent basis to try to like, I don't know. There's like Cleveland is so hard to make a living, man. And there are a lot of businesses and like restaurants that keep closing. So if there could be some sort of like commune, right? Some sort of like community where you could rent a space and try to, without a ton of overhead, where like I could provide like kitchen space for new chefs and give them an opportunity to try to like build a brand. I think that'd be really cool. I did that with my art company, Analog. We built out a communal space, a share space, and just had like supplies and other stuff ready. So like if an artist wanted to rent out a space, they would have like a PC, a desk, right? Like lights, a camera to use. Like they could rent out that kind of equipment. And that worked pretty well. I'd love to be able to do that in a similar vein with kitchens. Because you know that there's just like so many people who want to do that but just don't know how to like get started. Giving them an opportunity would be sick. I don't know, that's kind of like my next project I think I'm going to be working on when I have some time, which is never. I need exit liquidity. Good luck, bud. Yeah, they're a very big thing here as well. We have like it's what's called like Walnut Wednesdays, where all the food trucks gather around the art museum, which is really cool. Big event, but. And then we have a bunch of colleges downtown, and they all have their own food trucks, which is great. So it gives like the students an opportunity to first have a job, but also like cook and learn how to make food and do all of that. And I think they have like 3 food trucks on the Case campus, which is where I basically live. I don't know. This sell side liquidity up here is gross. Holy. I go, what is this guy up here? Yeah, man. It's gonna be 2,000 contracts soon enough. I'm trying to hold a runner here. We'll see. I don't know. This is my current trade that I'm in right now. I'm just trying to let this run. My stops break even now at 07.50. This offer up here might be worth taking at 50. I don't know, man. Man, it's just full target. This is the only trade that I've seen in the last like 50 minutes that I care about. So I'm trying to see if I can hold this runner. New 15's open now. Let's see if we can do anything. We held the mid, which is good. If we're not going to do a full range rotation, but other than that, I don't know. We'd have to get over 70 and show interest for me to really care. It feels like I'll probably just go back down to break even here with this offer holding at 50 to 70. But I kind of want to try to let it run, because if we do pop, if we can get over 70s and bid, I feel like 150 is pretty easy for us to reach. But again, like we're in a range right now, so any expectations for a runner should be met with the idea that we could fully retrace back on us. There's been 1,600 contracts that have been absorbed into this 50. So until that moves out of the way, it doesn't make sense to hold a runner unless you're willing to let that go back to zero, just to give you an understanding. Like, I'm being delusional by trying to keep this trade open, is what I'm trying to get at. I'm on pure copium here that we're breaking through this level. I'll be right back.
So the White House explores opening an antitrust probe into home builders in the coming weeks. The Trump administration officials are exploring opening an antitrust investigation into U.S. home builders as the White House sharpens its focus on tackling the country's housing affordability crisis. The Department of Justice could open the probe in the coming weeks, according to people familiar with the discussions. No decision has been made, and the administration may abandon the effort without launching an investigation, the people said, asking not to be identified, discussing non-public information.
Something that I brought up after I left yesterday when I posted my expectancy and all of that. Did you guys understand what I was trying to get like the point I was trying to reach? I don't want you to look at like the monetary values. That doesn't matter. But the expectancy and understanding how everything that I've been talking about is like how we're honoring that, I think is really important. Do you get what I'm saying about the expectancy and like not letting, how like even with a much lower win rate on a day, we can still stay positive by respecting our 1-to-1 and our letting our runners run and letting our stops be pretty rigid in structure. Was that a bit easier to see by having that kind of representation? Or no? We can go over it a bit if you're still unsure. So like here, this was our what, Tuesday, Wednesday, where we had that 50%, 52% win rate. But the thing I want you to pay attention to is what our average losing trade is and our largest losing trade. Do you see how our average winning trade is larger than our largest losing trade? And our largest winning trade is just astronomically larger. But do you notice that our average losing trade is half the size of our average winning trade? So what does that mean in regards to our 1-to-1? Why does it make sense that our average losing trade is half the size Well, it's this logic that we've built here, right? It's the 1-to-1. And then the 2-to-1 is our average winning trade. You get me? So our full stop is me taking a 1-to-1 here on that day, right? Whereas our average winning trade is taking our 2-to-1, because our setups, if we have any sort of edge, I'm looking for something more than a 1-to-1. I'm looking for a 2-to-1. So that's us taking our risk off on average for double our risk, right? And then when our average lose is just us stopping out for our risk on average for after our 1-to-1, right? So this is how we keep a positive expectancy, is because we are trading with a positive risk to reward. If you have a negative risk to reward, we talked about this a lot yesterday, where you're risking more than your reward, you have a negative expectancy, right? A negative 0.5 expectancy, where you're letting your stops bleed you out, but you're taking profit too early. It's going to be very hard to be a profitable trader, because your risk to reward is skewed negatively, right? You're not allowing the trades to play in totality, right? And so this is why I think taking off that 1-to-1 is so important, so that you can then allow that trade to then run freely for that secondary target with limited risk, right? But being able to take this off and then letting this play, either then stopping you out for after a 1-to-1 for break even, then this trade has no downside other than fees, which is like, you know, it doesn't matter. And then we then allow the trade to fully play to secondary target, right? But having that positive skew is so incredibly important, because when we trade like this, we can have even a 40% win rate and still be positive on the day, because we're respecting our rules, we're respecting our trade setups and our stops, which is the most important thing. We're not letting trades bleed us to death. We're sticking to our rule set. And some days, that works out more. Some days it's a bit rough, right? Where we hit our 1-to-1 and then we come back down and it fully stops us out. And that's okay, because our expectancy is still positive. So even with this win rate, we still expect to make $266, right? And so that allows
Silver
for
rises
those trades to
7.6% to around $76.64 an ounce.
That allows for us to still be positive on days where we're even struggling. And that's the most important thing, is by having a strict rule set, that even on the hard days, we can still be in a position where we're not ruining ourselves. And then on good days, right, things really, really play out, because we've kept that expectancy, and our expectancy is much larger than, that 260. It becomes, $500 or $800 per trade, which is really solid, right? So like yesterday, our expectancy was so much higher because our trades played out so much quicker, and we didn't have to try as many levels, but we still maintained
oil prices climb over $1
very
a barrel
similar
on uncertainty on Iran-US talks.
risk to reward. Do you see? You see how my average losing trade basically remained the same? You see, our risk to reward doesn't change. Just some days our reward is a bit easier to reach, but our risk doesn't really change here. And that's what I was trying to get at. Is some days it's easier than others, right? You can see that our average loss was much quicker. Things played out much faster. Our average winner was much quicker, and our trades were much larger in size. For our winners were much larger in size, and it required less time. So like, some days are easier than others, but regardless, we're still maintaining our same risk on our losses, and that allows for the good days to be really fucking good, and our bad days to still be positive. That's what I mean by having a plan and trading within structure. And if your trade plans aren't working and you don't have that edge, right, and nothing is really playing out, then just step away, man. Like, I just stepped away from the market for an hour today, and we did absolutely nothing because our trade didn't work and I had no understanding of what was going on. We waited until we did understand, and then we instantly were able to be profitable, right? Stick to your rules. Stick to what makes sense. If you don't have edge, don't fucking trade it. It's like the most important concept, but it's very simple, right? But it's one of those things where, like, it means everything. It is everything. Having a rule set that you can follow and that you know works and that you can trust in, and that day to day you're going to be profitable is like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, you can lose trades. It's not the end of the world. You can have losses. It's not the end of the world, because you know that at the end of the day, you are following a system that compounds. You're not blowing up in a single day. You're not over leveraging. You're just trading. I really am trying to like stress this, because so many of you want to just do the lotto
Nvidia
gamble
CEO Huang says
over
demand is
leveraged,
sky
and you're
high.
not allowing for things to just slowly grow, because you need that instant satisfaction. And I need you to kind of like take a step away and see that if you actually respected and had some self-control,
Nvidia
that this
CEO
becomes
Huang
so
currently
much
speaking
easier.
in a CNBC interview.
Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to like be a nagger, right? Like, I really don't want to nag you guys too much, but I do want you to like come to that realization where, like, this is something that you're like, oh yeah, like if I just stopped being impatient and started to actually allow things to play, and I got out of my own way, I'd be in a much better position.
Nvidia's CEO says Anthropic and OpenAI are making money.
Does that make sense or no? I know it's easier said than done, but like, come on. Like, I need you to be able to see that you can still make money with a 50% win rate. Not even just make some money, make a lot of money. And I need you to then see that also that same risk to reward on a good day is going to be insane.
Nvidia CEO
right? Like,
says
the risk doesn't
massive AI
change, the
capex
reward
is
changes.
appropriate and necessary.
Pushing into our target here. This is the VPOC at 69. Let's see if we can flip this. Oops. Our next target, if we can flip over this resistance here, again, would be that like 150, 140. In my opinion, that's just a fib target. This area here. I don't know. We'll see what we do. This was a huge level for us to push through. This is almost 1,700 contracts that we just ate through supply-wise at 50 to 60. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it was a good hold of our mid of our balance, right? This is exactly what we were talking about yesterday, right? This is what we want to see as our context clue. That buy side is here and willing to stay. If we can look above and hold, awesome.
Nvidia shares extend
If not,
gains to
right,
session
we'll
highs,
offer this 50
up around
back below again,
7.3%.
and then we'll rotate down most definitely, and then we'll look for like that retest and range trade again. I don't know. We'll see. I don't have a ton of faith in this pop above, but it is worth watching to see if we can hold this edge now that we've built this area out. New 15s, opening above our 70. ES pushing into our supply here.
Fed's Jefferson, answering questions, says job creation has been weaker than we'd like. We do have the live video for Jefferson again on the feed. NVIDIA CEO Huang says AI build-out has several years to go. And Fed's Jefferson says, I do not want to see any further weakening in the labor market. NVIDIA CEO Huang says build-out is to take 7 to 8 years.
Offers hitting pretty heavy here into this 100, as well as this 30 on ES. Which makes sense. Lots of liquidity above us that we have to get through. Not a bad risk off for a retest of 70 to 50 from this 100. See if we can build out a higher low here. Not a lot of structure to play around. Just this buyer at 70 and then this big flip at 50.
Hello, Fridayers.
Hello.
That's what I'm going with. One more time, Rory. I'm unsure what you're saying. Salutations. Market said we don't care about Amazon.
Does anyone care about Amazon these days? I don't know.
Uh,
I don't even know if Amazon cares about Amazon.
That's true. Well, they care about Snoop Dogg's courtroom AI game.
Huge. Are you ready to make some fucking doubloons today, bud? What?
Alright, how many earnings reports from tech have you learned? You should know the only constant is that they will fire people. And then, believe it or not, they will hire them back. But they will be different people. And then, they'll fire them again. Hmm. Well, remember, you're like a family to us. We're family here.
Bid resting at 50 again. Let's see if this flips off of the look above and fail, or if we're able to find a bid and then a pop back over 70 from our 50 bid. Just watching to see if we get like a bit of a liquidity grab here and then a higher low that then leads to something like this, or if offer sticks and then we step down for the full range rotation. I don't know what just happened.
Did you see the Epstein Fortnite conspiracies?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Little
Is it
little
just
Jeff
Rory?
91 or something. What is his name? Littlest Jeff?
I don't know.
Littlest Jeff. Epstein's
Yeah, Littlest Jeff 1.
yeah, his Fortnite account is still active, and it just went private last night after people discovered it. It was in the files.
Fed's Jefferson says anchored expectations suggest that the Fed still has credibility on its inflation target.
You see this 50 level, bud? You see how many contracts have traded here, Mario? On NQ?
No, let me switch over to the old NQ footprint here. Oh, but we are not trading at 700. I love when Tradeify just like zooms everything out. Take a little gander. Oh, that's some NQ size. 400 there. No rest for the wicked. Yeah, I was very neutral at first, but
Fed's Jefferson says once the
just
impact of
quite
tariffs
good.
on goods works through headline inflation should subside.
A lot of it was self-inflicted pain initially. Still like quite clunky. You have to play controller. Yeah. I don't know if you would like. I don't know if it's your kind of game. My biggest gripe is the devs are trying to push like their ideology versus like kind of like respecting the player in terms of how some of their mechanics are set up. I wouldn't say, I think that the Souls-like combat is that it's such a lie for most games. Just because you have to dodge for a boss doesn't make it Souls-like. Sure.
We're just watching to see if this bid at our POC previous candle holds so we can get back over 70, or if offer is going to sustain here and then we get a look back below and a rotation back down to 25k flat. So just keeping an eye on that now.
Regional diplomats that were briefed by Iran says Tehran insists on its right to enrich uranium during talks with the US. Regional diplomat briefed by Iran says Tehran believes that US negotiators seemed to understand Iran's stance on enrichment. And Fed's Jefferson says the current rate can support the labor market while inflation is set to decline. The regional diplomat that was briefed
Yeah, I
by
think
Iran
so,
says
probably.
that Tehran ruled out no uranium enrichment, but said it's open to discuss the level and purity of it or a regional consortium.
Just keeping an eye on it. We've got 2 minutes till new 15s, so let's just see if we can build here. Flip this guy again. Show interest, or if this is going to be just a trap. Regardless, the short should give you an opportunity from a bounce of 25s and then a reoffer into 50, I think, but we'll see.
Regional diplomat briefed by Iran says Tehran insists on its right to enrich uranium, again during talks with the US.
This man wants this headline to do something. He's repeated it so many times.
Regional diplomats briefed by Iran says Tehran's missile capabilities were not discussed during the talks. Nvidia's CEO Huang says there's no drama with OpenAI.
Nothing like a 12 o'clock doji.
Nvidia's CEO says OpenAI needs my company's new generation of chips.
You gonna give him new 15s? Opening up POC previous candle here at this 70 ES. Bit of a divergence. highs holding at 30s there. That offer's still sitting. But NQ holding above our pivot. Let's see if we can build here.
Decent size of a bid. Stepped in on 29 on ES. And some two-side trading up here still, but slight shift. See if they defend.
$90 is your first risk off for 1-to-1 if you're playing off of your 50 to 70. 20 points. 20-point stop, 20-point reward. See if we can take out highs. Still like to see 140, but we gotta flip it. We gotta get it through this seller that sits here. Unsure. Lord. Later, man. I'm gonna head out of here soon too.
Yeah. We had a little more speed. Bye, Basil.
Come on, come on. Highs taken. Back into our offer at 100s. Again, target is 140. Good retest of our 70. Looking for like this 140 to 170 area is our target above. If we can build here, should get a bit faster. Trade again is now free after the 1-to-1, taking off at 90. You can either take off more if you want here as we push into this. It's up to you. The trade's free. Do whatever you want. Targeting 140 to 170. This will probably be my last trade regardless of what happens. ES has a bit more room till next target at our 4150. Just into this, we got so much liquidity up here. I don't know. See what we do as we push into this. Stopped and then flipped, took off for 1-to-1, took off for 2, and then we've now covered our stop, and now this trade is profitable regardless of what happens here. So we covered here for our stop on flip, and now
Treasury
we're
Secretary
just in
Bessent
runners
currently
for
speaking in a
potential rotation up to
CNBC
140,
interview.
170. So if as long as this is maintaining this pivot, then we can have that as a runner. If it flips, then we stop, and then I leave. But then you'd be able to potentially play this on a reoffer down for rotations back down. So I don't know. We'll see. Setup is clean. Oops, I did not mean to move that. All right, I just wanted to show you like the one-to-one thing that I keep talking about. It's like you can see it for the short setup as well. Just so that goes into that 25 playing off of the 50, right? And then the full range is almost, it's like 2.6, right? So 3-to-1 if you pull it to the bottom. But it's just not incredibly realistic to be holding for that. But I really want to like focus on this because it's like, it's a very clear 2-to-1, just playing this rotation, but taking that one and then making the trade free based off of your risk is just such an easy thing for you to do to secure gains and take out as much risk as possible while allowing runners to run. But that would be like
Treasury Secretary Besant says a strong dollar policy is about what we do in the backdrop.
that would be the
Keep
return
in
back
mind,
into this range.
just after the top of the hour, expecting the weekly Baker Hughes rig count numbers. Total rigs saw a prior of 546, while oil rigs saw a prior of 411.
It depends, man. So like for this trade that we just took, I marketed in, and you can clearly see that I marketed in and market sold out on my first contracts here. But then I limited out, and then that filled me on a sell, and then I limited bid on my stop out of my short attempt here at our edge from 50 to 70, right? Because we immediately stopped out on our long contract here, and then it filled me short, and then I stopped on the long above 70, and it flipped me to a bid, and then my stop just became 50, right? So like this was a mechanical, whereas this was me pressing it manually. You see the difference? Where like this is just an invalidation of my short setup, so it immediately flipped me long. And then I took 1-to-1 here into 90 to make the trade free. And then I took in
He was stock
100 as
16
well
gains,
into the highs.
Nasdaq up 2%.
Right, just again, it's just following, it's just systematic. So because
Total rig count coming in at 551.
right, like this is the setup where we're looking for liquidity below. This is a failure, and then it's a higher low bid, and then this is your 1-to-1. One risk, one reward, right? Flat. And then if we can hold it, then we get a full rotation up, which allows for a much larger runner. So like I manually bought into this low because as soon as we saw this low, I was like, this is worth the risk trying to bid into this as long as this is maintaining. So I was fine with that because we
And
saw
borrowing
a
count
bunch of liquidity at that 80 before.
412. That concludes Besant's comments on CNBC.
But yeah, I'm always like watching for these low looks and then seeing if we can then find some sort of bid for the rotation through. So as soon as we saw that, I was like, oh, that's
Spot
interesting.
silver extends gains last
So I
up
marketed
9%.
in on it. And so as long as we were maintaining that wick low, I was fine to stay in that trade. Just for a rotation back up to these highs. Getting stopped out of here kind of sucks, but it was worth the risk because then we just got right back in and then we've been able to make up for it. So it's not that big of a deal, but breaking below that 50 was just too big of a risk for me for the potential rotation down that could have happened. But as long as we get back in above 70, it doesn't matter. Playing our plan. But yeah, I usually, it's a mix between limits and market buys. I don't know, I talk about this quite a bit, but I try to take out as much risk as possible and then just try to let my runner run for full target. As long as nothing's invalidating. My entire like purpose is to try to get the best possible entry in our zone, right? And then take off initial risk so that if we stop out, the trade is just a scratch, right? It's break even. And then like our runners are the things that actually make us the money. In a way that if you want to still make money by taking the 1-to-1s, right, you take off 2 contracts into first target, which is 1-to-1, and then you leave 1 runner. So regardless, even if it went all the way back down, right, you're taking off 2 here, so the trade will be profitable because then you only have 1 contract to stop out of. So it's a way to kind of guarantee. So you'd be trading 3 contracts, three micros instead. And if you only can trade 2 contracts, or you can only trade 1 contract, what you can do is at the 1-to-1, you change. We talked about this yesterday, but if you're only trading 1 contract and you can only afford 1 micro, the idea would be then once we get to our first target, which is our break even, is what you could consider it at 90, you would then change your stop from this low to then your entry here at 70s, and either you would then stop out or we would go to full target, right? So you'd move your stop to break even if you only had 1 contract. That's a good way to play it. But I think playing with 2 or 3 contracts with this system makes the most sense. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So you could take off 2 into first target, and then if you stopped out, right, mathematically you'd still be making money. Yeah, but like if you only have 1 contract, then just move your stop up to break even once we get to first per target. And then you either stop out and it's whatever, or we go to full target and you feel really good. Yeah. You know, and again, there's no reason to trade more than 2 to 3 micros, especially if you're growing. Once you build out a decent buffer, 5 to 6K, then you can try to trade with some minis. But even then, I would just trade with a larger amount of micros. For the most part, it just makes more sense. It gives you the ability to average out. I don't know. I've been really trying to hone in on a system of execution that I think makes the most sense for you guys. I had to like really think about how I trade and break it down. That's where this like 1-to-1 concept started to click, and I've been kind of reiterating it a lot more lately because I think that I do a lot of things subconsciously, and having to like put them into words was really great for me, to help you as well. Just kind of like thinking about why and where I risk off, because a lot of the things that I do, I do without really like thinking about them, in the sense of like it's an internal thought, right? Like I never really like put them out there into words. So trying to like help you guys with your execution and understand like your risk to reward, and like why what I'm doing is what I'm doing, hopefully is a bit more helpful as a visualization aid. But like this concept of like being able to take off initial risk and let your trades just play, through our structure, I think is very good for those that are building out your account and trying to build out that buffer. This system is, I think, going to be very helpful for you. Especially if you were here earlier where I talked about like the expectancy, right? Like this is a positive expectancy, with the strategy. Like you're always going to have I shouldn't say always. Even if you're, fucking up 50% of your trades, you're still have a positive expectancy with this strategy and with the trades that we're taking. And your runners will still, you'll still be making a lot of money on the day by just being respectful and accountable with your levels and with your entries and exits, just by playing the system. The whole point is like a safety net, right? Because like we as individuals are greedy people, and so if we can take off as much initial risk as possible and then just allow things to play and not have to overmanage trades, then that takes out the human factor, right, of you wanting to do more, for you exiting and entering, right? So if we can take out all of that and you can just sit on hands and allow something to be playing risk-free, that gives you the most opportunity to, make money. I don't know. I'm gonna stop ranting, but that's basically like the case, right? Like the use case. It's like we secure initial, and then you let it go. This is Bitcoin rejecting our 71K. Feels bad, man.
Holy.
So like it's rejecting the gap.
Time to buy.
I mean, yeah, it was time to buy. Still might be. It's really solid gap up. I mean, every time we get down to these levels, people are like, why didn't I buy under 100K? And then it goes back up and you're like, why? I would never buy there. We had a huge basing here, which is why it's like, makes sense. Holding the 60.
According to CNBC, Goldman Sachs taps Anthropic's Claude to automate accounting.
Listen, Rory,
of
I'll
clients'
buy
roles.
between 50K and 70K, and you buy 130K, and we'll see who does better. It'll be like a Mr. Beast challenge.
You said buy? I mean, I don't know, man. That's all I'm saying.
Oh.
Dow extends gains last of 2.1%.
I mean, we'll see what happens in this gap. If this pops up above this gap tomorrow, then it'll probably have been a really, really good low. And then it'll probably keep going. That'd be my guess. We can get over this this sell gap. Then you'll have a really nice reversal pattern where we'll have an island. And if we build it all over this, then you're in like a really solid spot for upside. But if this holds, then it does. It's whatever. So tomorrow should be telling. That'd be my guess. If this, I mean, we'll see. It's crypto, so it's anyone's guess. But if this was futures, I'd be looking at that, or any sort of stock. And if not, I mean, then we're probably headed down to 59K, 58K into these lows, where we've been able to find liquidity. So you'd be looking at right, like one more leg down probably into this, and then we'd watch to see if this is a trap, and then if we rotate back up, the same setup, or if this is going to then hold and then continue downward. That'd be my guess. Something like that. I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, it's just structure, right? Like, are we gonna hold that accumulation from the last time and build above that top of balance, or nah? You know. But the question is does 70K or 50K or 60K matter if it goes up to 100K again? You get me?
That's a lot of words for Rory.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's like the whole mentality with Bitcoin is you're just dollar cost averaging in. So it doesn't matter if it even goes down to 40K if the end goal is for, you know, it to go back up.
7 counterparties take $3.11 billion at Fed reverse repo.
I'm working on my trading playbook. Is there a channel that could be useful that I can reference at or look at while I structure my playbook? There's the trade review channel. I don't know if that's what you're asking.
So here,
Oh, you're asking for like the structure? My bad. I totally misunderstood.
yeah, I didn't understand that question I said either.
I thought you were just asking for like a place and like what other people were doing.
Yeah. We do have a full playbook module into like 2 months on.
Did you try machinations, Kiz? That was the other one I told you about. Same author. Oh, you're already caught up on that? Hmm. I don't know. I heard Nano Machine was good at the beginning, but then it got bad because it's just lasted too long. I've never caught up on it. The beginning is peak, I've heard. I don't know. You're caught up on Star Embracing Swordmaster? Oh, that's the one then. Yeah, you'll really like that. Yeah. Varg showed me star embracing. Yeah, so visionary, I would say that um, I would just try to create like a reference book, right? So you take as many screenshots of the setup playing out and failing, build out that visual library, have a little writing on it, whatever helps you, like your emotional state at the time, what you were looking for, et cetera, et cetera. Build that out. So just a visual library. That's all I did for mine. Like I just have a visual library. Some people need more, some people need less. The beginning is the most important, just so that you're recognizing and having that accountability. I think that recording your trades and recording your sessions can be very helpful. If you need help setting up the recording, I have a video on that. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's Mario did like lots and lots and lots of classes on it. And again, like I have a video going over how you can set up OBS and automatic recording of entries and exits for yourself by setting up a hotkey. And then all of those recordings would be saved into the cloud so that you can have commentary on top of your trades of you just talking and then being able to review the session in its totality. For me, that's probably your best bet. Reviewing your sessions and reviewing your trades and your mentality as you talk them through, going back over them with a fresh set of eyes while you're not emotionally invested, I think can be really, really helpful.
According to Axios, Witkoff and Kushner met directly with Iran's Foreign Minister Arakchi. As according to two sources familiar with the matter being cited by Axios.
All right. I will be right back.
3 minutes here until new 30s, or 3.5 minutes. New 30s. Big bid stepping up here. It's under 33s on ES. Taken. Well, middle of range here. Yes, offer still seeing 35 here. Back to the highs here. Sellers still present, still liquidity sitting above, no shifts, no changes. Not a ton of oomph. Oh, those look good.
Wow, impressive. We've done nothing.
Yeah, we're getting a little couple tick look here on ES, you know.
Oh yeah, ES is moving. It's going to target. NQ, not so much.
No, but you know, a couple
yeah.
ticks.
Well, feels bad. This is all just Russell movement. What's moving in RTY?
Tech underlines look like Garbo.
Yeah, semis are the only thing that are carrying tech. Oh, miners are back up today. Miners, oil, energy, regional banks. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I took a shower, I let my dog out, and we're still in the same place and I haven't been stopped. So, yep. I might just let this run and either I get stopped out below 50 or we go into my 140 to 170 and it stops me out there for profit. I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, the plan's set. I'm not really trying to just sit here and wait. And maybe something happens at 2, hopefully. I mean, if not, we have a plan laid out for the downside play if this ends up curling over. But with the POCs below us and that absorption that took place here, I still think the upside target is that has potential. I don't know. We'll see. My issue is what happens when ES gets to this supply and NQ hasn't moved. Are we going to get a rotation out of our RTY and back into tech names, or is it going to be elevator down when we lose momentum on Russell and ES as we push into that supply and NQ is just fighting for its life sideways? And then when those lose momentum, does NQ then start to really sell? Right? Like if this comes up into this and then we get a move down on RTY and ES that looks like that, what does NQ do with that pulse when we're sideways like this? We probably get that leg down would be my guess. Gotta be worried about that. So let's see what we do as we push into this. But from a distribution point of view, we held our lows very well. Just these highs are so unknown. We don't know who's going to be waiting for us up there and how much they're going to take in. But uptrend's still intact. Buyer's still absorbing in the lows. No change in our overall higher time frame trend. I'm just, again, just worried about that loss of momentum potential. So we push in on ES target with NQ sideways. Let's look on RTY. What are we doing? Is there anything that we can gauge? Okay, so we just did the we've got a little bit more room on Russell, technically, if we wanted to double our initial imbalance. That'd put us up at 74. Up here. 79. Yeah. So the way that I just came up with this on Russell, you can do the same thing on NQ and ES and all that, but this is our initial balance here between 660 and 641. So all that I did here was take this initial balance from our first hour, and then Control C, Control V, and then it's just you see what I mean? It's just a deviation of it. And then that creates a 100% upside and 100% downside of our initial balance for rotations was going to occur. Just it's a range. That would give you an upside target like that. I don't know, we'll see what happens, but IB is 660. IBH, oops. IBL. IBM. We'll see what happens. And we just gotta wait for that ES move. What happens into this big ass supply above? I do not know. I'm still just in my runner from 70. There's no change. We've taken off 2 into these highs, 1 into our 1-to-1 at 90, and then 1 into our 100, 110. Just in one runner here with our stop at 50, and our take profit at 140. Just waiting to see which way we're gonna break. We've got our plan for downside. If this is going to curl over, and we've got rotations, your reversion target would be down here at 920 to 940. If we did do a reversion target, that's your VWAP and your PVZ and your POC shift, right? So that's where we would be aiming if these highs fail. And that's only if 50 goes offer, right? You can see that. Do you see how POC is shifted here? Let me turn off drawings. So POC is shifted from 850 to 915 to now 040, right? So if we lose that 40 to 50 and that goes offer, remember, look at our drawings. That's that. If that flips offer, and then we will trade through this node here. You guys see that? That's the idea. this node. Right? And then if that node fails and we hold this edge here of that node as resistance, we would then rotate down to this node, right? Into this LVN. And then this would be our edge of that node. Right? And you see that we're building up a new node up here right now. That makes sense? And this is with indicators on so that you can see where those nodes came from. Like our zones have already existed there, but I just want you to like rationalize like the three distributions that we've kind of made. So we'll see if this ends up curling over or not. It doesn't really matter to me. It'd be cool if we went to target, but if this ends up curling over, right, and we're seeing like this weakness into our highs, and then we see a failure here, this will make for a really nice trade into end of day as we revert back down to this VWAP here at our 920, 940. Just into this LVN here. Copy? I'm going to take the lack of answers as no one's here and I can leave freely.
I got it.
Is that
You are
price
good.
for first hour? Yeah, that's initial balance is just your first hour of trading. All right. Goodbye, friends. Again, I just PT at 140 and to 170 and stop below 50s and then look to see if we fail to if we hold below, then you got your rotation of this. If we look below and then bid back over 70s, then it's the same trade as before. PVZ is just opened here at 110. So that would be your next target. Yeah. So what you're watching for right now off of the new PVZ is, does offer hold this 100, oops, wrong tool, 100 to 112 as offer? And can it then come down into this off of that? Or can we push back over this for this rotation up? Okay, I'll post charts in chat. But this just looks like range to me, so no reason to be here for it when we're already in. All right, goodbye. Have a good weekend.
Peace.
I'll see you Monday.